everybody, and welcome to this edition of ZoeTV. We have a great show for you today. We're going to be talking with Gerald Gilliard. He is in our performance center. Many of you know him. He helps Steve.
Yeah,
he's
absolutely.
one of the trainers down there. And he's going to tell us a little bit about what's going on post-COVID in the performance center, what we have to look forward to, that kind of thing. And then we also have Jerry Beeman on. And she was nominated as our resident of inspiration this week from Patsy Kuntz last week. So we're super excited.
It's gonna be a fun show.
Yeah.
I think the dynamics of,
I think so too.
I love everything about Resident of Inspiration, and then I obviously, Gerald's my guy.
Right, I know.
So, and then we got some food, right?
We do have another recipe that will be put in as well from Lish. So, and most of you know she did have her baby. She had a little girl. So anyway, stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. This is a great show. Well, we're really excited today to have Jerry Beeman, who was nominated by Patsy Kuntz last week to be our resident of inspiration. So welcome, Jerry. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you for letting me join you. I've got to tell you, it was a total surprise when Patsy told me about this.
Oh, how nice. I was just going to ask you what your response was.
I just sat there and looked at her with my mouth open, actually.
That is
The
super
thing
cool.
that I loved is before the show, we were talking, and you said when you were thinking of who you wanted to nominate, that most everybody has been nominated in your court now.
Well,
so
actually,
you have
that's
such a
not quite true. I said each one could be nominated.
could
because
be nominated.
Everybody in the court
There
is
you
an
go.
inspiration in one way or another.
It'd be hard
and
to
my
pick
first
one.
thought was my husband.
Aw.
But, you know.
Oh, that would have been a cute thing
Yeah.
to
It would have
do,
been,
too.
wouldn't it?
Yes. Yeah, I love that. So tell us, how long have you and Bill lived here?
We've lived here about 5.5 years.
5.5 years. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
And now, where were you guys before you made the move to Glencroft?
We were in Phoenix.
Okay.
We have been in Phoenix for, well, since 1966, except about 10 years when we moved to the Verde Valley.
Oh,
And then we came back down and ended up here.
And do you have children that
We
live
do
here?
have, we are blessed with 2 wonderful children,
Aw.
4 grandchildren,
Aw.
and they all live in the area.
Isn't that nice?
So it is
That
nice.
makes such a big difference.
It really
too.
does.
So with COVID and everything that came our way, have you guys been able to see your family that's close, or how have you guys navigated those
Well,
waters?
that has been kind of a challenge for obvious reasons with the
Yes.
COVID, but an additional challenge. Our daughter just finished going through treatment for stage 1 pancreatic cancer.
Oh my.
And so she has had to be isolated pretty
Yes.
much totally. I mean, we didn't see her for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks.
Oh
so
my goodness, yes.
That's kind of hard. She's
It
doing
is-
well.
Good.
Oh, good. Oh, that's wonderful news. It's hard. You know, I've shared before, but I've seen my mother one time, and she was getting a pacemaker replaced, but we have not, because of my job and, you know, coming in contact with different people, we've kept her very, very sheltered. And,
Right.
and it has a tendency to play havoc on you too, because she's been isolated for so long that it is very hard. You know, she hasn't seen her great grandchildren or, you know, barely her children too. So
Yeah,
it does.
that's tough.
It does, yeah. How have you and Bill handled coming through COVID? You know, all of the
Well, now we live in independent living.
Yes.
And your report every morning about now we don't have any cases in independent living, and we think, yes.
Yes, exactly.
And we're a little more independent because we do still drive.
Yes,
so we do
completely.
go off campus.
Yeah, you
Right.
guys. And Bill goes over to Scottsdale and takes care of some doctor's appointments and things.
That's
You guys
it,
are out and
yes.
about.
Right, yeah,
So
absolutely.
we're not nearly as isolated as some people
others.
have had to have been.
Absolutely. Yeah, it makes a big difference. What do you all love doing? Why are you here at Glencroft?
Well, we're here at Glencroft because the couple that I'm going to introduce to you later on were very instrumental in saying, you ought to move to Glencroft.
Really?
Yeah.
They were already here?
They were here,
Oh.
and we went to the same church, and we had just barely met them.
Uh-huh.
you guys ought to move to Glencroft.
Really?
Why are we here? We are here because we love the small town feeling.
Yes.
I always wanted to live in a small town.
Yes.
You go down, you have 3 stores. You have restaurants.
Right.
You have people that you see, even if you don't know their names,
Right.
you see them.
Yeah.
And so you can say hello, maybe even stop and chat.
Right.
It's wonderful.
Well, and so many people have similar backgrounds. I mean, we have people that actually didn't even know that they lived in the same city back in Iowa someplace or that type of thing. And then they started going downstairs to ZoeLife
Right.
and working out in the performance center and being involved in a lot of the programs and said, oh, hey,
Yeah. Like connecting the dots.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Super cool.
And
Yes.
that is awesome. I mean, especially in, a small town, which is what we are.
And of course, one of the things I really liked, when I was a kid, I would always read the children's storybooks about the family walking to church.
Yes,
Mother and father and the children all dressed in their hats and nice clothes.
right.
I can walk to church.
Yeah.
I love it.
That is super
Isn't that
cool.
great?
But
Where
I
did
think
you?
you're not alone in that. We get
No,
that
I
all the
know,
time. That small
absolutely.
town
Yes.
community, being a faith-based campus.
Right.
That same theme comes
Over
out
and
every
over,
week.
yes.
That's the biggest draw of
Yes.
coming here
Yeah.
is that sense of community in
I
small
can-
town.
yeah.
vibe.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Southern California. We both did.
Oh, you
In
did.
fact, we grew up in the same town
Okay.
in Southern California,
see.
which in those days was a much smaller town.
Right.
But now it's part of the Los Angeles megalopolis, and it
Right.
Yes.
just goes and goes and goes.
Yes.
Very
Where did
cool.
your children go to school?
Grand Canyon University. Well,
Oh.
Grand Canyon College.
Like
Grand
3 weeks
Canyon
in a row.
College.
Now-
I know.
And our grandchildren. We had 3 grandchildren who graduated
Oh.
from Grand Canyon.
Our oldest granddaughter just graduated
Aha.
from Grand Canyon as
And
well.
I graduated.
And you graduated
Yes.
from Canyon,
So once
right?
again,
Yes,
here we are.
I know.
How about that?
All right, are we there? Are we at the
I
moment?
guess so.
No,
This
you're
is
going to
my-
have to go back and take some courses. I mean, you're
Yeah,
kind of out of
keep up
style
I
with
here.
know. No, seriously. All right, so here's the moment we've been waiting for.
What's that?
Who are you going to nominate for next week?
Well, I'm going to nominate Frank and Anita Youngkin.
Oh, we're so excited.
They
because
are the ones.
It's a couple.
It's a couple.
And we haven't had a couple,
haven't done a couple.
as resident of inspiration, but I think it's perfect.
It is perfect.
For some reason, as soon as we started going to church with them, they immediately said, we live at Glencroft. You'd really like it. You really ought to move to Glencroft.
Oh my
And
goodness.
at the time, we weren't going to move anywhere.
Yes.
But when we got to the point where we decided to move, we thought, let's take a look at this place.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they are great people, and we know
Oh, my
them.
goodness,
They're
you-
part of
yes.
Beta 1, and they've been with us ever since.
Yes,
and they
every
are
day
staples
practically.
down there.
And they just don't quit.
They don't
They
quit.
don't.
They just go
No.
and go and
They
go.
do go.
No, and
and I
I-
love getting them on the scale that reads their health age, because she comes back at 21 or 22.
I know
Oh my
it.
goodness.
And he's
Yes.
at 26, and I always say, you're robbing the cradle. She's only 21, Frank. Easy, buddy.
I love
And
it.
They just get the biggest kick out of that. But they are
They love
Energizer
working
bunnies.
out.
They just
yes,
go
and
and go.
staying
That's
healthy.
great.
They're in the pool all the time and
Yeah.
and
Awesome
working out. So it's
nomination.
going to be exciting talking to them. And we've really been hoping that we would get a man, started
Yeah.
through this, because we have a lot of men on this campus that are residents of inspiration as well. So it's not just a woman thing.
Nope.
Right.
This train's going in
That's
all
right,
directions. So I think that's an
exactly.
amazing nomination.
It is. And Jerry, thank you so much for being with us today. We really appreciate
Well,
it.
you're
Very
certainly welcome. I
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
Awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Hello, I'm Lish Vasquez, Dining Services Director at Glencroft Center for Modern Aging, and today we're going to make our famous Flour Power Pizza with veggies. So we've got our famous cauliflower crust, which is gluten-free, and we have already sliced mushrooms and red bell peppers, green bell peppers, and diced red onion. I have mozzarella cheese and red marinara sauce. Now this is very simple to put together. I'll show you. Like I said, you can do this at home. You can buy the pre-cauliflower crust at any of your grocery stores. They have them out now all over. and you can go as crazy as you want with the veggie topping. There's no limit. So you're gonna spread the marinara sauce all over evenly, but not too heavy, because otherwise it'll get really soggy when you cook it. You're just basically spreading it so it touches the entire pizza close to the edge. Like that. Good. And then we're going to stick our toppings, scatter them generously over entire pizza. Get a little bit of everything. Go. And sprinkle. Now, the thing with pizza is everybody loves cheese. But the bad thing is you add too much cheese, it's gonna be so greasy and soggy, it's gonna turn out so terrible. So actually less is more when it comes to making pizza. It may not look like it, but when it actually melts all over the pizza evenly, it will be enough, I promise. You're just gonna put a gentle sprinkle over the top, just like that. Okay? And then we're going to take this and I'm gonna put this in my magical kitchen oven over here. And there I pull from my oven that magically boxes my pizzas for me. You're going to bake it at 425 for 5 to 6 minutes until crispy. Now, if you have a conventional oven, it could take a little bit longer. Now, this is what the pizza looks like when it's done. See, not too much cheese, perfectly even. Looks nice, perfectly evenly cooked. And that is the Flower Power Veggie Pizza. I'm Lish Vasquez, Dining Services Director at Glencroft Center for Modern Aging, and eating healthy can taste good. Happy cooking.
We are so lucky
I
to
know.
be joined by Gerald Gilliard.
Yes.
Gilliard. I said it right?
You said it right.
And I probably.
No, well, she butchers it all the time. so don't-
Yes, I might say it wrong.
We just,
so,
yeah. Gerald,
Yes.
the man.
That's
We,
close enough.
we love Gerald.
Yes, we do.
Gerald
Love you too.
holds the fort down. Every time I get pulled somewhere, I have
That's
total
right.
confidence that room flows.
Yes.
And safety
Right.
first.
Yes.
And everything about coming out of COVID is under this guy's direction in terms of how that operates.
You know, one thing I will tell you is early on in COVID, when you actually were sick, you didn't have COVID, but you were sick with
Yep.
a bad head
Yep.
cold and that kind of thing, and you were home, and Gerald called me and said, hey, we need this, 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 and this. And I got right on top and ordered everything. It was all sanitation supplies. I mean, he knew exactly what was needed to make sure that everything was kept clean and safe downstairs. And that was very impressive to me, because normally it's Steve saying,
he's
whatever.
been honest. So tell us your perception of, because you obviously got here well before COVID, got implanted into the system, that learned how to run that building.
Right.
How did you see the transformation to post-COVID, or where we're at now? How did that process work for you?
Well, I can first say that so far as COVID was concerned, that was a very, so far as my job position, we had to close down the fitness center. So that was very challenging for me to go out, do something that was different from when I,
Right.
you know,
You
when I
were,
was-
you normally
tasked
do.
to do something else
Yes.
with
Yeah,
your
so
time,
it
right?
was.
So what were you doing?
So I was actually going around campus, just sanitizing different areas on campus, and wherever I was needed, I did participate in the food bank, which I really enjoyed doing with the residents. So wherever I was needed, that's what I kind of helped
cool,
out
but that was the
and did on
motto.
campus.
Yes.
All hands on
All
deck,
hands
wherever
on
you
deck.
need it. And if we could pull an associate from one that was having to shut down
Yes.
for whatever, man, let's bring you over and help another
That's
department.
right.
So kudos to you, man, because I know environmental service appreciated it.
Absolutely.
David was with
Yes.
security. I mean, it was just across
Right.
the board. So
Right.
that's cool. So tell me, like, when we started getting our strategy together of, okay, COVID's here for the long duration. We've got to think through of how to navigate these waters. How are you thinking things are going down there in terms of you know, the amount of volume that we're getting in the mornings is staying busy.
Yeah.
How is our cleaning practices being adapted? Tell us what your life looks like.
Well, the first
now.
thing we're doing is when the residents first come in, we're taking their temperatures, you know, make sure no one has a temperature. Also, we're sanitizing the equipment before and after they're doing their workout.
Right.
And then we're making sure, you know, just in case we run out over the 10 resident limit, you know, we have to close the doors if we go over 10
Right.
residents. So we have to.
And that's it's one of those things that it's frustrating if you come down here and the doors are shut.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Yes.
And
Right.
people, you know, we have the nice chairs sitting out front. We're really good about it. If we're at that 10, we got to shut it. But the minute someone leaves, we open it.
Yep.
Next person in, and our residents have been great about. No, they were here
Yes.
first. Let them go. So that part's been a challenge, but everybody accepts it.
Yes,
It is-
it's part of the new normal. That's the way I look at it is, you know, masks are part of the new normal. How we function in society, 6 feet apart, you know, that's the new normal. And then dealing with, right now anyway, groups of 10 or less is part of the new normal.
Yes,
So,
it is.
yeah.
So the two of us went through that performance center before we went to phase 1 reopening, and we moved stuff around.
Yes, we did.
Right? We had the tape measure out. We made
Make
sure
sure it was
everything
6 feet. Right.
But it really, because that room is so big,
Right.
that there wasn't a lot that needed to move. I mean,
Right.
we shut down, one treadmill in the middle of a couple of them.
Right.
We spread out the bikes. We moved some bikes to the other side, but it didn't take that long to make that room flow with 6 feet. And like I said, with the 10 people that we allow going in, everybody spreads out immediately in the room. What's your perception of how our residents are adapting to, you know, when they come in, it is masks on. And I forgot my mask, well, then we got an extra one.
Right.
I mean, it's just something there's no gray area on that. And that's been the case since we reopened. So, you know, you're in there in the fire with these guys. Has everybody been pretty good about that?
Yes, they are, and I think they respect that we're doing that. You know, so far as requiring masks and
Don't
doing
you
their
feel
temperature
like it's
checks.
reassuring?
Yes,
You
it
know,
is.
people have a reassurance that we're doing everything we can possibly do
Yes.
to keep everybody healthy. Because the bottom line is that COVID's not going anyplace. And unfortunately, and now we're all out and about a little bit more. So the opportunity for people in independent living to come down with, you know, something, it's all out there.
Yeah,
it's very
you're right.
real.
You're right. It is real. And I would say that with the Parkinson's group starting up and with the stroke group that's got a waiting list going and we're going to start in July, you know, Gerald's hands-on with me on this Parkinson's program. And I think what I really love about Gerald, and you can chime in on this, is the fact that we have 10 or 11 of these Parkinson's participants.
Yes.
But having this space of this university room to be able to bring them in here to do their speech therapy and to do his movement classes with the group. We spread them out. We have all this space, but that frees up the performance center to get more bodies to come in. So I think the flow of these two rooms and that environment of, you know, these ongoing new programs that we don't want to stop innovation. We don't want to stop trying new things because of COVID.
Right.
We just have to figure out a strategy to make everything flow.
Right.
So speaking of Parkinson's, maybe speak on what are some of the highlights that you've seen, whether it's the boxing or the virtual reality or you're in the pool with us on that. What's some of the highlights of the program you love?
You know what, so far as the swimming pool is concerned, you know, I work with a lady, resident Jane Woodburn.
Yeah.
So I work one-on-one with her, and her husband always tells me, wow, Jerry, I never seen her walk like that in my life. Just to, you know, because I have her walking, you know, maybe about 25 feet across the swimming pool. And that just, he's really excited about that.
That's such a cool.
That's wonderful.
And that's the beauty of that Parkinson's program is, you know, we're accommodating so many levels on the spectrum of where they fall, and we're not turning anybody away.
Right.
So it's one thing, like, we just have to logistically think how we want to structure that. So for Gerald to say, I want to take that one-on-one, I got this, and to be able to run with that. And then I'm in the pool with the other group, and I'll have 4 or 5 that are a little bit different on the spectrum, but we can navigate these waters between the two of us and David that's helping with the virtual reality stuff. And I think it's just a cool dynamic.
I do too, and you and I have even talked about the fact that Parkinson's isn't replicated the same in everyone.
No.
It's very different on
right.
how it affects different people. And some people can have symptoms that other people don't have, and areas that they need to work on that other people don't need to work on. And so it's really interesting to see the dynamics of all of that coming together and having the resources which you've set up in this amazing program that targets every single area that of possible symptoms from Parkinson's. And I just love it.
Well, it's one of those things that, you know, if you live here and you have Parkinson's or with the stroke coming, so if you've had a stroke or you know, to not try to get in on these programs is a disservice, because we are assembling such a team of exercise physiology guys, kinesiology guys, physical therapists, speech therapists, nutritionists, all of these collaborating and doing this, and I say this for free, right? You're not charged anything to participate, and it's in your backyard.
That's
like,
right.
So many of our residents are like, man, I did the big and loud, and I did this, but I had to drive, and I had to drive down to Banner, I had to go to Muhammad Ali.
And this is right in your backyard.
And you literally wake up and you walk out of your house and it's like the Parkinson's Disneyland, right?
I
like
know.
that you just stay and immerse. So I think, Gerald, I mean, I love the Parkinson's program. I've seen your face light up when you get to work with these guys, but with COVID, we've had to change up the speech element because the speech therapist is over at Providence Place, and I'm not ready to bridge that gap yet.
No.
So she's doing a Zoom type call on our screen, but you know, Gerald or David are in here in the fire. How do you like that speech?
I love it. The residents, you know, the residents, they really say, wow, Gerald, you're a really good teacher. And I do have experience when I was, after college, I was a special ed teacher, so I have a little experience teaching.
Absolutely.
So that experience really helped me.
Yeah.
You know, when I do speech therapy.
So one thing that I figured out is that my office is right up above the university room.
Oh,
and I could hear you guys doing the speech therapy.
Really?
And, yes.
That's good.
And so
That's what we want,
hey, we're
really.
doing our job.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is I've always heard like the dance classes down here, and I thought,
Where is
that's
that
funny.
coming
What
from?
is that? You know? And then I heard you all down here yesterday. And you were doing the speech therapy class, and I just hooted because I could hear them repeating the things that you were saying.
Yes.
So.
And I always like to tell them, you know, project your voice. So a lot of times we'll stand up.
Well, they did.
So they can really project their
Hey, they're doing their job.
They did exactly
That's what we want.
you were asking.
Yes,
Yes.
Oh, that is cool.
You know, one thing I wanted to ask you is what's coming up? Two of you. What's coming up on the horizon? What other programs are out there that you think are going to be as impactful as the Parkinson's program?
Well, I think to start will be the stroke program. And the stroke program it came to be because it's truly the sister program to the Parkinson's.
Yes.
Where so many residents kept coming up to me and saying, I want to do the VR stuff, I want to do the swimming, but I didn't have Parkinson's, but I had a stroke.
Right.
And I started, okay, so we started, and I got all of a sudden a list like this of residents that want to do it. So I think what he's doing with the running trail and the journals and
definitely.
tracking all the mile markers and doing these, like Tom Grode got all the way down to Las Vegas already at 276 miles.
Amazing.
Wow.
So, you know, I think that program is going to, as soon as the fall comes, that's going to be an ongoing one.
I think so too. It's getting so hot outside too.
It's hot.
So
It's hot. But this room is great. The indoor, they're
this
pulling all their
room
miles
is
in.
perfect. Yeah, 37 laps around. I have that.
So,
I have
you have that
by
locked.
heart. Yes.
Well, Gerald, we
37,
appreciate you
yeah.
coming
Thank you.
in, man. That
It's
is
my pleasure.
Thank
being
you
here.
so much.
I love your
Thank you,
energy,
Millie.
buddy. And
Gerald, it was
I know the
really-
residents love you as well.
Absolutely.
I love you guys
You
too.
do a great
Thank you.
job.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining.
You're welcome.
What a show!
I know. That was fabulous.
Oh, Gerald, that's my guy.
I know it was.
I love getting him on here and have him explain
Yes.
best practices of the Performance Center, how we're staying
Yes.
clean, how we're doing our social distancing. I think that there is not confusion, but I think the more we talk about it
Yes.
and how we came up with our strategy going into phase 1, phase 2, we're implementing obviously with the Parkinson's and the
Right.
stroke. We're starting down that road of some group classes.
And you all have already instigated a mandatory mask downstairs
Absolutely.
in the
Yeah,
Performance
that's nothing
Center.
new for our
So
room.
that's nothing new at all.
Yeah,
so that's
a lot
good
of
thing.
what we have already been doing in the Performance Center is now, you know, with the best practices
Right.
of the campus and the mask. But, you know, I think it's so fun to hear from Gerald, who's in the fire down here, who is hands-on with all these assessments.
Yep.
Be able to get a little time to talk about it.
I think so too. And then talking to Jerry Beeman, she is wonderful. And we had such a great conversation about how, you know, her friendship with the people in her court, her friendship with Patsy Kuntz, who is the one that nominated her. And then she comes up and nominates Frank and Anita Youngkin.
Our first power couple of nominees. I mean, that's like that is the power couple.
So we're really excited to talk to both Frank and Anita. We're gonna get a hold of you next week and have you on the show. So be waiting for our call.
I love it.
And thank you for joining us today.